live, laugh.
How's it going, everybody? This is Daniel, and we are joined by Robert Martyr today on the podcast. How are you doing, Robert?
Good. I'm doing good. Ready to talk about wrestling,
We're all here for it. Super excited to have you on. Super, really love your stuff. Think just your work kind of speaks for itself. But before we hop into everything, where can everybody find you? And do you have any dates where people can see you coming up?
Well, July 17th, which is in, 2 days. I have Pro Wrestling Revolver.
Yeah.
Callahan's promotion against, it's going to be my debut. I'm going to be representing Prestige Wrestling against Alan Angels, who's going to be representing Revolver. And then after that, I have Grant Watts at the Firestar Rumble. Next week, it's June 24th.
Yeah, 24th.
Yes, it is. See, I know my dates. And then I have July 8th at West Coast Pro. It's going to be me and Kevin Blackwood in San Francisco. So those are my three right now.
Yeah, I was watching some of your matches to prepare. The last match that I watched was your match with him at Limitless.
Yeah, that was a while ago, man. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a really good match, though. Yeah, excited you guys running that back.
No. Yeah, well, I'm glad too, because I feel like both of us didn't really know what we were at that point. I still feel like I think that was the show he started being the aesthetic crippler. That's literally the first show they called him that. So it was like very, very, very new for both of us.
It's awesome. So yeah, you're everywhere. West Coast Pro, Wrestling Revolver. I think all of those places are people where people know. So that's awesome. You're really big in prestige. All kinds of crazy matches that you've had. But where does it start for you with wrestling? Is there a moment when you first saw it that you were like, "Yep, this is for me"?
So I feel like mine's a lot more convoluted and complicated. But to narrow it down, essentially, I started liking wrestling because I was a very hyperactive child. Yeah. So the big thing of my thing was, I am so sorry. The big thing of my thing is, when I was younger, my grandmother used to play lucha wrestling. So like AAA, CMLL. I had VHS tapes of all of those things. And the biggest thing about that was that when I did watch those tapes, I had no idea what WWE was. I didn't even know wrestling was a thing. I just had those tapes, and with that being my only reference to wrestling, that's all I knew till I was 11 or 12. So from 4 or 5 to 10 or 11, I didn't know who the fuck John Cena was. Yeah. I didn't know who the fuck Undertaker was. I didn't know who any of these guys were until I saw them on TV. I knew who Eddie Guerrero was. I knew who Rey Mysterio was because I saw them. So, my Undertaker was La Parka. Literally, my Undertaker was La Parka. My, my Chris Benoit was Eddie. I didn't really have a reference. Fuerza Guerrero, all those different people were my big inspirations.
Yeah.
So once I started watching that, and then I started watching WWE, I saw, my cousin was a big Ring of Honor fan, and then he stopped being a fan of wrestling, so he just gave me all of his wrestling tapes. So when I went to New York, I think it was around 2007, 2006. I'm not sure, but we watched what's it called? I went to New York and I saw Bryan Danielson and Homicide.
Oh wow!
For the Ring of Honor title. That was literally my first exposure to wrestling live.
Yeah.
That's when I realized I wanted to be a pro wrestler after that.
Really? Yes.
I got to do this because this is phenomenal. I saw Homicide. I'm Puerto Rican. I didn't know there were Puerto Rican. Right?
Yeah.
Exposure to pro wrestling was Homicide, and Bryan Danielson was the big one for me.
Yeah, you say that you could definitely see that in your style now. But I think that's kind of cool. Most people grow up with the theatrics of wrestling, the Rocks, the Stone Colds. But you came from AAA and CMLL, where strictly they have stories and stuff, of course. But it's such a athletic product where people are doing crazy things, and then you go right into like Ring of Honor in your first live show. Like a lot of people have the complete opposite, where they're like see a rock promo on TV and then they're glued.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's why like I feel like my approach to wrestling is very much different from other people.
So you see Bryan Danielson at Ring of Honor. You know that you want to be a wrestler. Where does it kind of go from there? Are you like more of a fan? Are you looking at it differently now, knowing that this is what you want to do?
The problem was like during those times, I feel like it's a lot easier to be a wrestler now.
Oh yeah.
Before. So I didn't really have a reference of like where to go or what to do to like be a wrestler. So there were like a good 4 or 5 years that I was just like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. I don't know how.
Yeah.
You know, I joined the wrestling team on my high school thinking that that's how I would get to the WWE, you know? So that's what was my first reference. So, I mean, by mistake, obviously that wasn't the case, but by mistake, that what I thought was going to happen was I'm going to do amateur wrestling. And then once I'm done, I'm going to be like Kurt Angle, and then go to the WWE. But I was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But it ended up being the biggest thing was eventually I had found a wrestling school on Google. It was something like I've been really, really trying to find. And then I talked to my mom and she was like, okay, well, we can do this, but you're 14.
Yeah.
So how are we they're not going to accept you. And I was like, what if I write a letter? Maybe they'll, accept me. And I ended up writing a letter and they responded saying if I got like a waiver, then I would be able to be a wrestler. So, my mom signed off on it reluctantly, but I ended up doing my first wrestling class at 14 and I haven't stopped since.
Yeah. Is that the school that you kind of went through your whole journey with as far as your training?
What school?
Is that did you like stay at the same school like
yes the entire time? It was the one school. Like probably after 2018 or 2019 2020 I went on to a different school after that, but for like 4 or 5 years I was at the same exact school that entire.
What was it like for you as somebody who you had to go through those 5 years of like wanting to be a wrestler? You can't be a wrestler. You don't know how to be a wrestler. You do amateur wrestling. I'm sure that's competitive and that's fun, but it's different. To finally, what is it like the first moment that you were able to step inside a ring?
It was scary. I was very intimidated, to be honest with you, because like, I thought amateur wrestling would have prepared me better.
Yeah,
it wasn't, because it was just like I didn't really care about it until I got older. I don't know, man. It was like a very like surreal feeling of like, oh shit, I'm really doing this now.
Yeah.
Like, turning back, I already paid for it, so I just had to man up and like do it. But it was very, very, very intimidating. Like I was very discouraged,
Yeah.
Funny enough, like my first day, Sami Callihan was like the guest teacher.
Oh, cool.
So it was just like, whoa, because I knew of Sami Callihan through like the tapes that I had, the indie tapes that my cousin had gave me. So it was like, whoa, it's kind of weird,
Yeah.
It was just very like, you can fantasize all you want and think about it all you want. And then when you get there, you're like, wow, this is real.
Yeah. Who trained you?
So I had a big influx of trainers. It was very weird because, how do I put this without getting in trouble? But essentially, the person that owned my school, his tactic was that he would get these guys, convince them to train us, and then I guess he just wouldn't pay them, so they just left, and then we just kept getting these influx of big names.
Yeah.
So, consistently, I would say the longest is Ricardo Rodriguez, Cedric Alexander.
Nice, yeah.
Who is a big North Carolina guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's huge.
Mecha Wolf 450, who's a NWA champion. You've seen him on 205 Live a few times. And low key helped a lot. Also, Eric Lockhart from Texas. He was trained by Booker T. Eric Lockhart was huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like that influx of guys.
Yeah.
I never really had like this is my trainer because I've had so many, but those are like really the main people that kind of shaped me. Which honestly, it kind of helped me. Again,
Yeah.
I like so many different influxes of styles and like just different approaches to wrestling constantly.
Yeah. You mentioned Loki. I know a lot of people, very polarizing person in wrestling. What was your experience with Loki and learning from him?
It was very, very, very scary. I was very scared. You know, it was no joke, man. Everything you think it is, it probably is.
Yeah.
I just remember those good like 9 months that I did train with them. Man, like I was in the best shape of my life when I was training with them. I really was. I was and I was doing amateur wrestling at the same time. So like my amateur wrestling coach was like, wait, how do you get in this good of shape? Like, bro, I do pro wrestling. So we would start training off with like, I think it was like 200 squats, 300 squats.
Crazy.
Then we do push-ups. Then we do burpees. Then we get in the ring. We'd roll, do our drills. Then at the end, we would do amateur wrestling, which was good for me, but bad for the other people that didn't have amateur wrestling experience. But, he was like very, very, very strict. He was like a drill sergeant, which, isn't bad. Sometimes you need that type of training. And it was like very, very intense all the time.
Yeah.
People have a lot to say about him. And, maybe some of it's justified, maybe some of it's not. But genuinely, like, if you're talking about in the ring and being a trainer, the dude is top notch. He knows what he's talking about. He knows he's genuinely like one of the best ever. So I'm privileged to have learned from him.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not somebody I want to run in like.
Oh yeah, dude. See low key in an alley, bro.
Yeah,
I know. Still to this day. So we still connected. It's kind of cool. It's like interesting.
Yeah. How did that affect, like, because when you're first starting out, like, of course you're learning the business, but also you're developing your character. How did that affect having so many different people in there? Did that, like, do you feel like that was a benefit to your character work as well, or was that to make it more difficult?
It was honestly at first it was very difficult for me because I was very, usually trainers the student becomes an extension of the trainer, right?
Yeah.
So when you don't have like a set trainer for over 2 years, you kind of have like this mild identity crisis of just like, what am I? I like this and I like this. I also like this, but I don't really like this. And then this person's giving this advice that contradicts this advice. So I really had this hard time of like trying to figure out what I was and what I wanted to be and how it would work in my body at the time, because what I am right now is what I've always wanted to be. But I wrestled in a luchador mask for like 3 years at that point, like 4 almost, my whole high school career, because during that time, in Florida, it's illegal to wrestle underage. You're not allowed.
Okay.
Well, there's not really a commission, but I've seen people get caught.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, that was like a big thing because I didn't really want to do that anyways.
Yeah.
And I would say, as far as my character, I was like, the character that I am now works more because I am older. I'm 22 now compared to like 14, 15, 16. Nobody's going to believe a disgruntled 16-year-old.
Yeah.
It just comes with time and age. So I had to learn about that too. But eventually, once I did figure out what I want, all the pieces started kind of like falling together in place for things to make sense for me. So now I have all these influences that are positively affecting me rather than negative, because again, when you put too much spices, and you don't know what flavor you fucking get at that point. It's like so much. So I guess when I was very inexperienced and younger, it was a lot harder to like pick and choose what worked and what didn't. But compared to now everything's starting to fall in place.
Yeah. When you were a kid, did you ever, I don't know what they called it, but like you'd get a cup from the fountain drink and you would just go down the line and get all the sodas?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And then you just keep doing that until the cup fills up and you just see what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of been like my
whole
journey in wrestling, is just different flavors of ice cream, different flavors of soda, and just doing that over and over again until you get me,
Yeah. It's awesome. Oh, see, I'm guessing you were working shows, but like, how did that work? Was the school putting on shows? Were you traveling, especially at such a young age?
The school was putting on shows. So there was like a 2-year period where I probably worked once a month. 2 or 3 year period where I probably worked once a month, which, is barely a career. That's like what? Again, 12 matches a year.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. So sometimes like 16 or 17, depending on how many shows are happening in 1 month, right? So it was kind of like sucky because I wasn't good, and a lot of people had at that time, at least, because I was younger, I was easy to take advantage of and easy to like manipulate and make look good. So I had a lot of people, really give it to me in matches where I was just there to make them look good, So, and they would like really hurt me. Like I would get fucked up real bad. I remember one time this guy, I'm not gonna name names, but this guy hit me with this fucking clothesline, and he got me right in the jaw, bro.
Yeah.
My jaw was stuck like this for like 4 days until I had to go to the doctor and I had to do an adjustment and pop it back into place. And I had to go to school, bro. I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
Like my jaw was fucked. I looked hideous, I had to do amateur wrestling with they taped my whole head.
Yeah.
Like a bonnet on. It was ridiculous. And I thought that's just how it was. But now I look back and I realize like a lot of people really took advantage of me and really hurt me, when I wasn't supposed to. But to get back to like, what we were talking about, I really think the big thing was during that time, I really wanted to get out and I really wanted to learn more. And that's where Ricardo came in, was to help me. He was like, hey, kid, listen, you suck, but I can help you, And it was the first person to give me that shot of like, I can help you. So I really, really took advantage of that. And then that's when I started to travel more and go different places, learning and smartening up to the business. But before then, I was really just a guy or a kid.
Yeah. You mentioned like just kind of getting the shit beat out of you at that place. I was watching your matches, and like something that stands out the most to me is like just the believability of everything that you do. Like not only like do your moves look lethal, but like of course some of the matches you were in the ring with like Anthony Henry and like Minoru Suzuki were like it probably not super hard to react, but like your believability, like when you're getting kicked or you're getting that is really awesome. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but yeah, something I noticed.
Well, it was also, I was also doing boxing too. So it's like, I understand essentially what it's like to like actually get hit.
Yeah.
And like register that, because, people can get hit and it's just like, I wouldn't react that way. Like naturally, I would not react that way. I just try to get the most natural reaction to something, it might not necessarily look like pretty, or appealing, but it's gonna be like a natural reaction that would happen if dudes, bro, the people I'm wrestling, bro, like especially Henry, like I'm not selling half the time. Like that's actual real reactions of me being in pain. Suzuki, the forearms, I'm at the mercy of how hard he hits me. A lot of those cells aren't even cells. It's just how I'm in fucking pain. But for the ones that are, I did boxing for a long time. I know what it's like to get hit.
Yeah.
And, you can kind of gauge when somebody in combat sports, you can kind of gauge if somebody has been hit before.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. I think we need to start like maneuvering towards what's natural, less than what might necessarily be appealing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You know, because there's all awesome, like, beautiful cells of, like, Ricky Steamboat, and, you know, Barry Windham, and Bobby Eaton Hall had amazing selling. But some of that, admittedly, is a little outdated, and it's something that can just discourage the modern fan that, you know, might just UFC, might just know boxing, might just know combat sports.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we have to abandon our identity. I'm just saying let's try to make it more believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
For sure. Especially like Shawn Michaels per se. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Like great for the time, but like you guys are wrestling like in the indies, like it's not like you're wrestling at Madison Square Garden. Like you're not selling for the person in the 200 section. Like
Exactly.
you can see the face of everybody that's around you pretty
You can
much.
see the guy right there.
Yeah.
So it's like I get there was a purpose to sell like that on purpose, but I guess until I'm there, which I have not experienced, so maybe my opinion might change.
Yeah, of course.
But for at least on an independent level and on the shows that I'm on, that are the biggest shows usually is 1,000.
Yeah.
Seating. You know, that's like top tier show, right? You know, so average would be like 200 to 300 people a show. You know, they can see perfect. You know, they can see every little thing. So I have to do my job to make sure that, you know, there's believability. But yeah.
Sure. Go back a little bit to what you were talking about is when you started hitting the road. Were you still under the mask at that point, or had you kind of moved away from that?
So I had broken my neck during training. I was 16 or 17. I was around that area.
Yeah.
And I'd broken my neck. I took a Hurricane Rana in training, and I spiked myself, and I literally broke my C7.
Yeah.
Sorry, my C6.
Yeah.
Literally snapped. And I thought I was paralyzed for life. I really did, until I got to the hospital, and they were all like, "Well," they did a few tests, ran a few tests. It's like, "Okay, so you're not going to be paralyzed." And I'm like, "Awesome, cool." The doctor comes in and is like, "So did you do any athletic activity? You know, like besides the pro wrestling stuff?" And I was like, "Well, I did amateur wrestling." And they're like, "Okay, well, did you like do any neck exercises or anything like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I do neck bridges every day for like 25 minutes." They're like, "Well, I think that's what saved you for being paralyzed."
That's
down.
Yeah.
It's neck bridges, the ones that everybody tells you are very bad for you, which, you know, admittedly they are. They're not but they do have their benefits, which literally is the reason I am walking normal and being able to do this. Like, me doing this is a fucking miracle, apparently. So, during that time, after I had broken my neck, I felt like, you know, I had done, you know, the Pegasus Dark character of Lucha Libre as long as I could have, and I didn't want to do it anymore, and I felt like me being injured was a perfect excuse to drop the gimmick, you know? So after that, I became Robert Martyr immediately after I came back. I was Robert Martyr. And that was, 2018? Yeah, so I was 17. Yeah. So that's 2018, late 2018, early 2019.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's when I really started traveling. But the problem was during that time, I had rushed my rehab like an idiot. So what I decided was I want to wrestle. So I'm going to take what's supposed to be a 7-month rehab and turn it into a 4-month rehab. And that was not a good idea at all. And for a while I was wrestling in excruciating pain. Like, I would collapse after every match and have to like sit down for like 30 minutes to feel my hands, you know? So I couldn't, like, you know, the baby weights that are like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
I couldn't lift that over my head, literally. So if you watch those matches, I am not lifting or really doing any moves. It's just I was like peak brawler Steve Austin, punches, kicks, maybe a strike here and there.
Yeah.
I would get thrown around, but I would never lift anybody.
Yeah.
I'd do like one German, and it would look like it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, good. And then after that, I finally realized, like, I can't keep living like this. Like, I'm gonna injure my neck, something. So back to rehab. I stopped wrestling for another 5, but I was training consistently during that time, so I didn't get out of ring shape. And once I was fully done with rehab, I came back with a vengeance. I lost 35. Well, during that time, I had gained, I had gained like 50 pounds, and I'm 5'8",
Yeah.
I was like 197 at 5'8".
Yeah.
At 18. That's no bueno, bro. Like, no, and I'm talking about like muscle. I'm talking about pure flab, bro. Like, I look terrible. And when I had fully gotten out of rehab, I dropped like 35 pounds. Very, very lean. And I was ready, or at least I felt I was ready. I wrestled a few times, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Right after I had gotten back into wrestling.
Yeah.
COVID slapped me in the face. But the cool thing about COVID, or at least I would say, the latter half of COVID, like 2021 or late 2020, was that they were still running shows.
Yeah.
In my area, at least, or before we were able to fly again. So they were running like secret shows. So I was able to wrestle and get footage and put footage out. And I want to say after that, that's when I had my first big indie booking, which was Firestar Pro Wrestling in Indiana. And then from there, I wrestled Matthew Justice of GCW. You might know him.
Yeah, yeah.
A shoot-style UWFI match. Tom Lawler saw it. Myron Reed saw it. Alex Kane saw it. A few others. They were like, "Who the fuck is this kid? This kid's nuts. Let's recommend him to other shows."
Yeah.
And that's how I got my start on like an actual indie.
Yeah.
That was kind of the bridge, was through COVID. Funny enough.
Yeah. That's something that's come up a lot in these interviews, and I don't think people really talk about it. But like, COVID for like the indie wrestler was like some people didn't come back from that. Like, they just stopped wrestling. So what was that like for you as somebody who like was on the prefaces of like coming back, and then like, how do you handle that?
I was heartbroken because I had thought like, well, not at first. Once I realized like, oh shoot, like we're gonna be here for a while, because we thought COVID was gonna last 2 weeks, dude.
Yeah. We're gonna watch Tiger King, and then we'll come back, and everything will be normal.
Like Ebola, like everybody was freaking out. Ebola was bullshit.
Yeah.
That's and that ended up absolutely not being the case. It was legit.
Yeah.
So we realized like the mandates started getting stricter and stricter. We realized, or at least I realized, like, oh fuck, dude, man, I'm gonna be stuck here. And I was really heartbroken because I was like, I just lost 30 pounds. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, even back when I started as a younger kid with Loki. I was even better shape. I felt I was ready. I felt motivated. I felt like I knew who I was. I had a few matches already, like and I was having the best matches of my career during that time, at the time, So I was like, man, I'm really good going. And then I just get slapped with like, it screwed a lot of people. COVID really did screw a lot of people. And especially for people that are in Canada, they weren't able to wrestle for like 3.5 years. Imagine that your career is just cut 3 years. But for me, it was like cut 6 months, maybe. But they were doing these secret shows, and I remember for Paradigm, which was like my first big booking.
Yeah.
They were doing what's it called? The UWFI shows, and they were like, if you have amateur wrestling experience or kickboxing or fighting experience, email us, send us some. That's what I did, and they knew of me, which is like incredible, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and then that's kind of like was my first big booking. So at first I was heartbroken, but then eventually it got better.
Yeah. You mentioned these like indies, like I don't think that like there's really a show on now that I like haven't heard of you on. Like you just mentioned at the beginning of the show, like you're doing Wrestle Revolver, which is one of the biggest indies out there. Uh, a mainstay for Prestige. Um, what is it like going from these like small shows to in Florida to like going to these like, because not only are these like big indies with big names, but like the crowds are different, the fans are involved in a different way. How was that adjustment for you?
I think it was I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I felt as if I was prepared.
Yeah.
I soon realized I was not at all prepared for the style that these bigger indies are working. I always joke around that I'm still like not at the indie level.
Yeah.
I don't wrestle like that often.
Uh-huh.
My matches are a different style, I would say, with a flair of like indie, or like recent. I would say like this year and like late last year, I started like finally like caving in. But I was like, during that time, I'm used to wrestling Florida wrestling. In North Carolina, Florida wrestling and North Carolina wrestling are very, very similar in the fact a lot slower. There's a lot more build, a lot more story, a lot more old school. And then when I'm thrust into Limitless Wrestling with these guys that are doing, the craziest shit, and you're expected to keep up, it was very, very daunting. I was like, oh shit, like I'm not ready for this. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Wrestling JD Drake, who's another guy that's made his name in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I don't think, is he a NC guy? If he's not,
he's like right on the border. He's like in Charlotte area. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's another guy. I remember I wrestled JD Drake, and he was like, "Son, you call the match." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna call the match. You want to learn or not?" I'm like, "Damn." So that was like a big thing for me, and just learning, asking questions constantly with these guys that I never thought I would be on a show with them ever.
Yeah.
Never thought I would have those opportunities. So a big thing too for me was like realizing like if I don't kill it, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Like that's just that simple. They will find somebody who is a lot more capable than me, So that was like really big as far as my mental state was like, I fucked this up, it's over.
Yeah.
It was like it was kind of like X Factor. If I fuck it up, I won't come back. Like And I really hated the notion during that time, especially was, oh, I know Martyr. He's a Florida guy. Fucking hated that. I hated it so much. And nothing against Florida because I rep it still to this day.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be known as a good Florida wrestler. I wanted to be known as a good professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Now, people think I'm from LA.
That's why I asked you. That's why I asked if you were in California or Pacific time.
Yeah, no, everybody thinks I'm in LA. Everybody thinks I'm in New York. Some people thought I lived in North Carolina. Like people think everywhere because I am everywhere. So, that I'm grateful now, but that was really a big thing for me was like, man, do I deserve to be in the ring with these guys?
Yeah.
Am I ready to be in the ring with these guys? Can I hang with these guys? And it was like, I know it sounds corny, but I was literally like proving it to myself. Like, oh, wow, that was a good match.
Yeah.
Like I look at that match with Kevin and I cringe because I'm like, I thought I was like doing good. And I look at my work now and it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just such an early, bro. I was wearing my first boots in that match, bro. Like I have nice ass boots now.
Yeah.
For boots, some dude who retired gave to me and was like, I don't want them, So it's like that time in Limitless was like the best because I got to like understand cameras, understand different ways to tell a story, understand different ways to wrestle. I would just say this to cut it short is I was put in a very, very daunting, intimidating, and uncomfortable situation. And I had to learn to like sink or swim.
Yeah.
And swam, So that was the best part.
Yeah. You mentioned JD Drake. JD Drake's huge around here. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but you have wrestled Minoru Suzuki. I'm assuming that your match, I know for sure Mrs. Suzuki, you had chops. I'm assuming JD Drake hit you with a few.
Man, if you go watch it back, it's on YouTube right now. It's on Limitless Wrestling. I go for a crossbody, and he swats me like a fly in midair with a chop. I got slapped in the face as hard as I've ever been slapped.
Yeah.
It was like a bruiser match, bro. It was just me getting my ass handed to me for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But I loved it. It was a great match, and I want to do it again with JD whenever is available.
I don't want to put you in this position, but if you had to choose JD Drake or Minoru Suzuki, whose chops hurt the worst?
Oh man, that's tough. I think I'm gonna give it to JD. I feel like if you were asking who had a better forearm, I would give it to Suzuki, no question.
Yeah.
I think JD's hands are just so big, like they're like bricks. His hands, like 3 times. I have baby hands, bro. My hands are very. So his just and it was like I remember like going home and then like 2 weeks because chops, if you get me real good, it'll last like for like 5 days and it'll go away, right?
Yeah.
His lasted for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
So it was still, and you could still see his fingers.
Yeah.
On my chest. So I'll give it to JD. I remember there was one he gave me in the corner that I literally was out of breath. Like I could not breathe. I was like trying to catch my breath.
Yeah. Yeah. We get to see him a lot, thankfully, around here. And every time it's like, holy, like him and Anthony Henry being in a tag team together should be illegal. Like just because like there's no way you're leaving that match like without some sort of
unscathed,
Yeah.
The thing is too is like I remember watching JD when PWX was around, man. Like the early days of JD Drake went like I'm talking even before Evolve. Early days. I remember, man. I told him about it when I had met him for the first, well, not the first time. When I met him, wrestled him at Limitless, I told him like, dude, I was been watching you for like years, literally. And he was Limitless. He was trying to be Limitless champion. Like it was a very big opportunity. And like, man, I'd wrestled Ricky Smokes, who's a chaotic wrestling guy. I wrestled JD, Kevin Blackwood, Alec Price, and I was constantly. That's where me and Daniel Garcia got familiar with each other. Was we were always constantly hanging out and like learning from him, like training, all that stuff. So it was cool because I was one of the few people who weren't from Maine.
Yeah.
I was like the young Florida kid that nobody was like, where the fuck did he come from? So that was like that whole time was like awesome to me. I always like, there's something in me that really wants to go back to Limitless.
Yeah.
And just, now I'm a completely different wrestler than I was then.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited to see that match with you and Kevin Blackwood now because like clearly there's like something probably for you both to prove.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you look like, bro, that match, Kevin even had, I don't think he had like the, what's it called? The dye in his hair.
Yeah.
Like the trunks that I wore in that match are like hanging up on my wall. I retired them, I don't even know where those original boots, I have no idea where those fuckers are, so it's like, and like my physical body, is like, again, I was I was like 2021, so I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's very, very surreal. It feels like I've aged in like 10 years and like 2,
Wrestling has a knack for doing that. So you mentioned Timothy Thatcher, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was it like wrestling him? Because it's like I would say he's really like of today. He's like one of the closest to like Bryan Danielson that's out there right now.
Dude, it was very, very cool. There was like some cool. If I ever like do like some type of, I don't know, shoot interview, I might comment on it. But
yeah,
there was some crazy backstage shit that happened.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was sick because, dude, Timothy like I did ring crew in Evolve.
Yeah.
Whenever they came to Orlando, I was there doing ring crew. So every time I would do my best to set up the ring as quick as possible so I could be like a row behind so they didn't see me watching their match.
Yeah.
As they're calling, I would listen in and look at Timothy Thatcher call his match, look at Cedric call his match, look at Trevor Lee call his match, GJP, Lindsay Dorado,
Yeah.
you know, Drew Gulak, all those guys, Tracy Williams, you know, who I also wrestled.
Yeah.
Tim, and like, bro, I'm talking about super nerd. Like I have, there's an MV that's like on private on my YouTube channel that I made of Timothy Thatcher. It's like a Timothy Thatcher highlight reel that I made.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
Yeah.
I did it for like my high school editing class, you know? So it was like a mark moment for me. Obviously he doesn't know that, but I told him, you know, I'm a fan of him for a while. He hits surprisingly hard.
Yeah.
You would think of him as a striker, but the only person I would put higher than him that hit me harder. So if I had to put it in like rank, I think it's Minoru, Anthony Henry, Timothy Thatcher, JD, right there. Yeah. Tim's up there, bro. He body slammed me and then toe kicked me. He doesn't wear kick pads. He wears boots.
Yeah.
That shit hurt really bad. You know, and he's like physically imposing. That was the thing about him, is like he's like very, very physically like dominating. Like you think you're strong until you get grabbed.
Yeah.
And you're whoa. You know? It's the same thing as like give me 1 second.
Oh, no problem.
Give me 1 second.
All good.
Hello? There you go. Jesus Christ. My dog is a terrible person. Here we go. Yeah. Shut up, Milo. But like I was saying, he's very, very physically imposing.
Yeah.
He's very strong. And it's like from amateur wrestling. Like I would wrestle guys that look like a string bean. I'm like, I'm going to destroy this guy. And then I get grabbed. And I'm like, whoa, you like grew up on a farm or something. Like you're like dude, that's how Tim is. Well, he's also like gigantic and muscular and stuff, right? But like I don't even know how to explain it. He's just genuinely like scary. He looks like a murderer. He looks like an axe murderer. And I'm glad I got to like have a match with him. Like he said, like after the match, he wanted a rematch, you know? So I really, really want to do that if I ever get the chance to, but I'm just like, I got to wrestle Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
At 22, you know? So what can I ask for?
Yeah. Yeah, you've had some, like, I was just looking through your cage match earlier. You've had some crazy matches to be, you say 23?
No, I'm 22, man. I'm still 22.
22. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to age you there.
No, it's all good, but like, it's nuts. Like, I don't even know. Like, I look like I feel old.
Yeah.
Comparative to like me at 19. But I look back at like, I don't know, legends saying like, oh, I remember when I was 22, I was like a young kid. So if they're calling themselves a young kid at 22, I guess I fall into that category. So it's still, I don't feel like I'm in my young stages anymore, but I technically still am, you know, until I'm like 26.
You've been getting the shit kicked out of you for like a decade.
For a while.
Yeah. Like
I thought it would stop.
Yeah.
But it just got worse, actually.
Yeah, you were working with like shitty dudes in Florida, and now you're working with like top tier people that just beat the shit out of you. Like it's like how it
is, and it's cool, you know, because I like it. It's kind of weird. I enjoy it I really like. I would even in training. That was like a big quality that Cedric always said I had is I like getting hit.
Yeah.
Fire up when I get hit. It's like a big motivator for some reason. Like that's just I just get fired up. So it's like if that's gonna be my style, then it's just gonna be my style, man. Like I'm not the most like angelic athletic person. You know, I can do like, dude, if you saw the stuff I was doing at 15, like lucha stuff, you think I would be like perfect for like a GCW scramble or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, dude, compared to the, like, I can still do half of that shit. I can't do all of it, but I can still do a good portion.
Yeah.
But now I feel like my wrestling, bro, is just grit, bro. Like that's how I describe my matches is gritty. I will get hit. I will be in a lot of pain. I will dish out a lot of pain. And then there's going to be some cool lucha technical stuff and some technical wrestling in between, you know. I think like the biggest influences of like my current style were like Roderick Strong and like 2012 Sami Callihan, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's how I want. Like, and then you like mix that in with like those super crazy Tajiri matches from ECW and Negro Casas, and I think you just got me, you know, or like Eddie Guerrero '94 or something like that. Like, I've always loved like wrestling like that, and I feel like there's not enough. So, again, speaking about the identity crisis I had earlier was, how do I explain it? It was not just like a me thing; it was also just like I have so many influences. How do I put this together?
Yeah.
Now I understand, like, I can put it all together. I thought I had to be one thing, you know? I thought if you're a technical wrestler, you're a technical wrestler, and that's it.
Yeah.
You just stay like that. But no, you could be whatever you want as long as it works.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to figure out me, and I think I'm doing that.
Yeah. You mentioned Roderick Strong being a Cuban influence. What was your reaction when you saw that he was booked at Prestige? Was there like a light in your head?
Bro, here's the thing, man. Me and Kevin I get big matches, and if Will from Prestige, owner Prestige, watches, I appreciate every opportunity you've given me, but I get so jealous, of Kevin Blackwood, but I shouldn't because he's like one of the forces of wrestling right now.
Yeah,
like. Truly, I have not seen a bad Kevin Blackwood match in a long time, or ever. To be honest, like I cannot remember the last time I watched a Kevin Blackwood match and was like, "Oh, that's okay," you know. Like he's one of those guys that reliably you can put in the ring with anybody and you will have a good match. So that's why he's getting Roderick Strong.
Yeah,
you know, that's literally why.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like I can get to that point and get to that level where I'm like. Oh, we need to like Cedric was that guy of North Carolina. You fly in a name to North Carolina, they're putting him against Trevor Lee or Cedric Alexander. Those two people, right? So, or when they were around at that point, you know. So it's like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that's like, oh man, I don't know who to put him with. You know what? Robert's that guy.
Yeah,
Robert could match with him, and I feel like I can get there, and I feel like I'm close. You know.
Yeah. I would definitely love to see you in the ring with Roderick Strong. And Kevin Blackwood, like you just said, we're right where DPW is, which we'd love to see you on a DPW show.
Well, it's in the works. I'll tell you that.
Awesome. But he faced Kevin
Koo? Was it Kevin Koo?
Yeah, he's faced Kevin Koo. That was awesome. The Bounty Hunter.
Brian
Keith. Yeah, he wrestled Brian Keith. Like, fucking tore the house down in like a 10-minute match. Like, I've never seen him not have a good match. Just like what you said.
That's why I'm very very excited to wrestle him again because I feel like he's kind of been like, I feel like that workhorse. Like, I feel like that you can only be that for the true legends or the people that can be that for many years.
Yeah,
but like on the indies, it's kind of fluctuated between like Mike Bailey or Brian Keith or Kevin Blackwood is on that list. DG was that guy for a while.
Yeah.
Where he got signed. like honestly on the indies, like Wheeler Yuta was that guy. They gave it to him. You know, they kind of had like that class of guys.
Yeah.
Joey for a minute was that guy. It was like, let me put him against Joey Janela. You know, so I kind of want that spot. Like that's the spot that I'm envious of. It was like I want the hard matches. I want the fly-ins. I want the international talent. Like that's the type of wrestling I want to do.
Yeah. I think this is a perfect segue into your match with Minoru Suzuki. But before that, you mentioned Trevor Lee. This is do you know Mark James? He works Fire.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. I will be at the Firestar show. I'll point him out to you if you'd like. But he's like very like helpful with all the Firestar students. Kind of a North Carolina guy. He was
terrible with names. I probably met him before.
but God, what was I gonna say? He was on our podcast last week, and he was talking about a match he had with Trevor Lee when he was 15, but he was too young to wrestle, so he was like Super Dragon or like one of those names, wrestling underneath the mask. And they were talking about just beating the shit out of him in like a tables, ladders, and chairs match. So. Gotcha. Yeah, you and Trevor Lee have got a little bit of a similar backstory, but you mentioned wanting to be the guy that people fly in talent for, and I feel like at Prestige, like you and Kevin Blackwood are those guys. So I guess the first thing I'd like to hear, when was the first time that you found out that you were wrestling Minoru Suzuki?
I was literally in a Dollar General. Fucking Will, man. He didn't tell me.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me. He didn't give me he didn't privy me.
Yeah.
To the information. So when I saw the flyer, I was like, I thought it was fake.
Yeah.
You know who Tom Customs is?
No, I don't.
So he's a dude that makes fake wrestling flyers.
Oh, okay.
And he bamboo. It looks like you would think it's real, like genuine. Yeah. It's bamboozled so many people. He actually got his account suspended because it was so good. But legit, it was that, and then oh my god, dude, you don't understand. It was, I literally fell to my knees. I was like, no fucking way this happened, right? Because I looked at it. I was like, this is fake. So I literally turned off my phone.
Yeah.
I turned back on my phone. I have like 35 missed calls from different people.
Yeah.
Congratulating me and shit. So I'm like, wait, is this actually real? I looking at it's fucking real, you know. So I won't even lie to you. I was the most calm I had ever been after that initial reaction. I was like, it's not real until I get in the ring.
Yeah.
Not real until I get in the ring. And usually before, I think that mentality helped me so much because I used to get panic attacks before matches, man. I used to have so much anxiety before big matches. Like I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. And I was just calm.
Yeah.
Because I had felt like the validation that I had got from so many people. Like, it was weird. It felt like everybody in the wrestling community kind of came out of the woodwork and was like, Rob deserves this.
Yeah.
Like, Martyr earned this. We worked for this. And it wasn't like, oh, man, this match is cool. Like, it was like, finally, Martyr gets like a big opportunity.
Yeah.
So I was calm because I had felt like I had finally like deserved it. Like it wasn't to me. Like I really did work for it. And it was very, very, very rewarding. I won't lie to you. Luckily, it panned away from me while Suzuki was doing his entrance, but I was fucking bawling in the ring. I was literally bawling. I was crying because I didn't think I'd get here. You know, it's Minoru Suzuki. It's the dude that I literally like. He was the first Japanese wrestler I ever saw. You know, so to be in the ring with them, especially, you know, who I don't even know how many more times he's going to be coming to the U.S.
Yeah,
you know, older, so it's like this could be the last few times. You know,
yeah,
so
for sure.
It was like a dream, bro. It's still like wow. It still doesn't register, bro. Like I've only watched that match twice, just because like. It's just so special to me. Like I just can't like casually watch it. It's weird.
Like a fine wine, just gotta have the right moment.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through like so leading up to the match? You released this like awesome video, like a voicemail based video, which like one of the coolest things that I've seen in wrestling in a while. Like, of course, there's promos, people like in their car talking shit. But how did you come up with that, and what was the reception of that video?
The reception was amazing. I think it even added to the match. My only regret is that they played it during my entrance, so you can't see my entrance when you watch the match. But man, like as far as like the curation of the video, there's this guy on Twitter. Shout out Frisco. Shout out WrestleWave. Those are my boys. Jamal, Alex, Snoovens, or Latrell. Like those are my guys. Like they make great content. They're kind of like I don't know, Black Deadlock. You can basically, if I had to put them to somebody, it's like Black Deadlock. That's the WrestleWave. Frisco is a video editor. He's somebody I've known for a long, long time, and he's the person I've worked with to create all these, most of these great promos that I've been doing. And the idea was his idea to do the phone thing, the voicemail. I wasn't like sold on it because I had done it before and I didn't like it. But the way he did it, I just felt like I was talking to myself, in that video. Like it was like a pep talk for me.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted it to be as cinematic as possible. I'm a really big fan of the Godzilla series, so I really wanted to like build Suzuki up as this like monster.
Yeah.
Like unnamed. I even said in Japanese Shinigami, which means Reaper.
Yeah.
In Japanese, like a grim fucking Reaper. He's scary,
Yeah, for sure.
So, and you watched it, so I mean, I always felt like, especially in WWE, like the biggest matches we always associated with a promo package.
Yes.
Like, like imagine it rocking Austin and you didn't have the My Way video. It just wouldn't be the same, bro, So I feel like stuff like that is like, I kind of want to bring that back. I want to normalize it. And, it's something that makes me stand out because I will cut a promo for you if you give me a big match.
Yeah.
Big match, I'll cut a good-ass promo, And, from what I've been told, like people who are in, the WWE or in other places have like taken notice of like promo work. So that's a big thing for me.
Awesome. So you create this amazing build around this match. What is the day of like? Are you like, when do you get to, or do you get to it all? Like kind of walk through things with Suzuki beforehand.
So I how do I say this? I got into the building. I was the first person in the building, funny enough, before they had set it up the ring. I was the first person there because I just couldn't. Like I was in my hotel and I was just like, dude, I can't. I got to just be there.
Yeah.
I shook hands with him. I said hello. I said what's up, and we had talked about what we were gonna do. And the thing was, it was just like his presence was very intimidating. It's again, I told myself it wasn't real until I was there, and then now he's there in the flesh. So it was just like, wow, like this is a lot. And the biggest thing is like, I don't want to get into too much of the details of like the curation of the match, but
of course,
really, the thing that really stuck with me was how giving he was. I've seen a lot of Minoru Suzuki matches. Let me turn on this light real quick. I've seen a lot of Minoru Suzuki matches. I've seen a lot of matches where, I'm not saying he's being lazy at all. I would never disrespect him like that. But, he's saving himself. He's an older guy. He's a guy that's been wrestling for a very, very long time. At that point in your career, you have to, like, protect yourself as far as, like, the bumps that you're willing to take and, what you're willing to do. But for some reason that day, man, he was willing to – he showed up, man. Like, I could tell he wanted to wrestle, like he wanted to go. And it was just the biggest honor, because I've seen matches where, he'll do the forearms, he'll hit the pile driver, he'll hit the, Kaze Ray, and that's it. But he really showed up for that match, and it was awesome.
He choked you with a fan's jacket.
Yes.
And then he put the jacket on top of you like he was there. Yeah, he was on that match. That was awesome.
Dude, the biggest moment of that match for me was when he forearmed me, and I literally had legitimately gone loopy. Like, I fell forward, and then he steps over my back.
Oh, yeah, in the corner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was, like, the moment that made that match, like, special.
Yeah.
Wow. That's disrespectful as shit.
Yeah.
Shake his hand, and then he kicks me and calls me a young boy, So it's like, it's just sick, The fact that I got to get in the ring with him was nuts.
Yeah. After the match, did he have any words for you, or how are you after the match? I'm sure it's very.
I was emotional. He said something that is like very, very personal for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to keep that just between me, just because it was just that special.
Yeah, of course.
As far as the advice, he was just like, everything I did was I tried, I really did. I really tried to I can confidently say I gave my everything in that match, like my absolute all. So yeah, man, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It was just I'll just say this. It was like the biggest endorsement I could get.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be through social media or, a video package or anything or a promo. It was just that respect.
Yeah.
Was that the biggest impact to me. So now to be honest with you, bro, I used to think I sucked at wrestling. I'll watch matches and I'll just beat myself up. But I always remember when I'm feeling down with it, the endorsement that he gave me was it's just you work a long time to get stuff like that.
Yeah, of course, dude. That's gotta be special. It was such a good match. Definitely wasn't all Suzuki. You deserve to be in there, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But this has been great. Usually we like to wrap it up with a little bit of an opportunity for you to give other people a platform. So who are some wrestlers that you think that more people should know about?
I'm sure who I'm about to say, because you're very familiar with him. Last time I was at Firestar Pro Wrestling, I had wrestled him. Was Malachi.
Oh yeah.
Man, I can't think of anybody with a higher ceiling. Than him. It's scary. I'll just be straight up with you. It's horrifying, how good he is.
Yeah.
And I can't when his body fills out, when he starts gaining serious weight, because I watched him versus Chris Bay. Once he gets Chris Bay size, dude,
it's awful.
What are you gonna do at that point? What are you gonna do? That guy's gonna be in Japan in 3 years. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
3 years. Another dude is Joe Alexander. Shout out to Joe Alexander, A Game. He's a New York guy. I was there when he was just starting, and I think he's a great wrestler. Has an amateur background. He really has it all together.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I just think that genuinely is going to make a good name.
Yeah.
In professional wrestling, especially in the Northeast area.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question. I actually like this segment a lot because there's a lot of people that I like, and I got more respect. I would say Angelo Carter, also from the same school as Joe Alexander. He is, part of the LGBT community, but that is the absolute last thing you need to know because of how good of a wrestler he is, genuinely, and how much talent he has. when you see like wrestlers, you see good wrestlers, you see great wrestlers, you see amazing wrestlers, but you don't see people that have it, that have that star quality that you're just like, I can't even name it, but they just have it, and I think Angelo Carter is one of those people that just has it, and I never felt like I had like that it factor that I had, so I had to work harder, to get noticed. But I'll look at, and Angelo's like what, almost 2 years into his career, so it's actually pretty nuts how good Angelo early on. Man, these are for, you know what, Brody Young Prodigy. I had met him, and he's a FSW kid. He's 15 years old.
Oh, shit.
Started wrestling when he was 9.
Wow. That's crazy.
Had a 25-minute match with Jordan Oliver. Okay, 25 minutes. It was fucking phenomenal. Then wrestled in the scramble match. Then wrestled Starboy Charlie, who's what, like 19?
Yeah.
So, Bodie Young Prodigy, man, that guy is going to be absolutely fantastic. Fantastic, dude. Like, imagine when he's 19.
Yeah.
He's had 25-minute matches with Jordan Oliver, who's like the guy right now.
Yeah, for sure.
If I could give a platform to one more person, I don't think he needs it, but I'm just going to say it anyways. G Sharp. I wrestled G Sharp, and I feel like G Sharp is a dude that has been wrestling for so long. Okay, he's been wrestling for a long time, longer than me. Yeah. And I feel like he just does not get his just due of how good of a wrestler he is. He's wrestled, literally, genuinely names, like real names. But just for some reason, people just don't give him the shake that he deserves, and I think he deserves it. Also, shout out LeBron Cazone. LeBron Cazone. That's another guy. LeBron Cazone, number one, is my favorite trainer in the world right now. I think he's the best trainer in the United States. And that's not me putting him over because I'm wrestling for him. Literally, he's like the best trainer I've ever seen.
Yeah. He puts out so many good guys. Like,
oh my God.
Insane. Like
Jack Drake.
Jackson Drake, Jay Malachi, Oliver Sawyer, Grant Watts. You're about to wrestle.
Grant Watts, who I'm going to wrestle. Manny Lowe. You got, oh my God, Oliver Sawyer. Like, dude, the amount of like, and we can go even back like Griff Garrison, bro. Like we go to the early days.
Yeah.
He's produced, like, if you really look at it, the like DPW cards are like half Firestar cards, bro.
Yeah.
But LeBron Cazone, I think he's so giving as a trainer that he would have, if he put the amount, and I know he won't do this because he loves his school and he loves his kids so much. If he put the amount of like effort that he did into his school and his students, I think his career would be all over the world. But I think he's so focused on making wrestling better. He's so focused on his school that even while he's distracted, or not necessarily distracted in a bad way, he's still killing it.
Yeah.
That's the level of like how good he is.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about like DPW is he's getting a chance to, like, he got to wrestle Adam Brooks. They tore the fucking house down. Like, he's so good. Like, it's crazy.
Every time I go to Firestar, he makes me think. Every time I leave I go to Firestar and I leave, I become a better wrestler every single time. And this time around, I'm not going just for the show. Every time I go to North Carolina, I reserve 4 or 5 days just to train.
Yeah.
If you're a professional wrestler that's out of North Carolina, Greensboro area, Firestar Pro Wrestling. I am telling you, Firestar Pro Wrestling, you will learn how to be a fucking amazing professional wrestler.
Yeah, any style you want, LeBron's the guy that's going to help you be the best you.
And the thing is like, he goes, okay, most trainers, this has become like a LeBron put-over show.
Yeah, I'm all for it. He deserves it.
He's like, he will take you to the shows that he is on, even if you are nowhere near like the level of having a match. just so you can learn. I can't name any fucking trainer that I've seen do that.
Yeah.
That's like above and beyond what and LeBron has been doing it for so long that he doesn't owe anybody shit. But he continues to just empower people, and like he's so just even just as like a forget wrestling, the dude is an absolutely amazing person. If you really get to know him, and you really get to understand like how good of a human being he is, it makes you like look at everything differently, because it's like if he can be like this wrestling for what 16 years, you know, and be like that, like fuck you if you're 4 years in acting like an asshole. You know, this guy has done more in his career than you could ever sniff.
Yeah.
And he's just the nicest, most genuine human you could ever meet.
100%, yeah, I agree.
But yeah.
Funny you mentioned Firestar. We'll wrap up with this. I'd love to be able to put something else to help promote the show. We're going to be there. Do you have any words for Grant Watts ahead of your match next Saturday? Or Saturday.
Oh, man. Grant Watts is what I was 2 years ago. Grant Watts is what I was 2 years ago. If you looked at me in Limitless Wrestling, if you looked at me maybe in my first my few 2 or 3 bookings I had in Prestige, that was Grant Watts. And I feel like Grant is too good for too good for where he is at right now. It's kind of it's alarming. And I've trained with Grant. I understand Grant because I've literally gone to Firestar Pro Wrestling. I've trained with him. I see how he moves. I see his potential. I see what he's doing wrong. And I think the reason I'm going to beat him is because I understand his game more than he understands it. So I don't have anything bad to say to Grant. I don't even have anything, negative at all. I just know I'm a better wrestler, and hopefully he'll learn, from my match with him. The biggest thing I want to say is it's not going to be the last time I wrestle him. It's not going to be the last time I'm in Firestar, and it's just going to be the start of me really being able to be a part of Firestar Pro Wrestling and put the test to people, because I feel like there's so many people in Firestar, like we just mentioned, that I need to be in the ring with. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, this next Saturday, the 24th, if you're in North Carolina, you are doing yourself a disservice if you are not there in that building.
Firestar Rumble, man. There's so many good talents. Look, they had to post like 2 flyers because how many people are on.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, man, all your local favorites and me, I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to come to North Carolina, especially in this coming year, because the bookings that I have coming up are I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to be in the U.S. for much longer. So, truly, I'm very excited because I got to wrestle Jackson Drake, I got to wrestle Malachi, but now I get to wrestle like the new class, because I feel like those 2 boys, Malachi and Jack, I feel like they're such a staple, you know. They're such past being, young student, like they're their own wrestler now.
Yeah.
Wrestle like a student, like Grant Watts, and it'll be a good experience.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate all of your time tonight. Look forward to that match next week, and wish you nothing but the best. We'd love to have you back on. Hopefully, you'll have some sort of couple more stamps in your passport at that point.
Yeah, I really do hope so.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much more stuff that we could have talked about. But yeah,
definitely. Again, I had an amazing time.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Yeah, good luck.